Oh shoot, okay, we're live. Alright, ladies and gents of YouTube, before you click off the video, I'm gonna be reacting to all of the featurettes of the new Batman. But listen, it's gonna be a chill reaction. We can watch this together. I'm gonna watch this main one first, that's 50 minutes, which is long, and then we'll watch all the mini ones after. Should we watch the mini ones first? Okay, we'll watch the mini ones first actually. So this one's kind of interesting. A transformation, the Penguin. So yeah, we'll watch these first. But it's gonna be chill. It's gonna be chill reactions. I'm not gonna
He's
go
referred
crazy.
to as the Penguin by other people.
I'm just gonna watch it with y'all.
Incredible depth, an incredible sense of loneliness and isolation. I saw the face of the Penguin for the first time. I was blown away.
Matt said, he's like, you're not gonna recognize him. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Colin walked up to set and I was like, no, no.
I had absolutely no idea that it was him when he came up in one of the first scenes we shot.
It is, look at that.
Mike Marino designed the Penguin, spent weeks in his studio.
Hi, I'm Mike Marino, and
What up, Mike?
I'm the prosthetic makeup designer.
I'm Mike Fontaine, and I do special effects,
Another
makeup,
Mike?
prosthetic makeup, particularly Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Mike and I were both mentored by a very famous, legendary makeup artist named Dick Smith, who had done The Godfather. He did The Exorcist and Taxi Driver.
Matt Reeves had wanted to design a really special character.
Matt Reeves is a legend, by the way. Y'all, that's who directed Batman. I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you probably knew that. But he's just a legend. And he signed to do more Batman stuff and even the TV series. Like, this Batman world, like, I forgot to tell this, but I'm a Batman fanboy, bro. Like, I always liked The Dark Knight, all the Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan movies. Those were amazing, one of my favorite movies ever. But then this new Batman, I don't know, it just hits different. There's something about it, bro. I went and saw it 2 times in the theaters. But yeah.
Character for the Penguin.
What was interesting to me about this version of the character was that he was not yet the Kingpin. And he's kind of this mixture of someone who people make fun of to a degree, but actually it turns out that under all of that, he's a volcano.
Hey, Vincent!
We're big fans of hyper-realism. The makeup's very realistic, but also has a magical or surreal element. Our sensibilities really lined up very strongly with what Matt's vision was for the film, which is to create these kind of extreme characters.
He wanted something that was a little pathetic and a little sympathetic, so he was referencing Fredo from The Godfather. And I had some ideas of some older gangsters.
That's good. It's pretty clever.
We start off with a life cast of Colin Farrell, which is a plaster
Holy
cast. Then
shit.
I take clay and I sculpt what I want it to look like.
He had a bust of me and he carved
Just look at this man right here. That is the Penguin. How the hell is that the Penguin?
it and went back to it the next day and carved it more, and he created this
Literally a whole new
absolutely
face.
complete character.
And I sculpted to a very high level with all the detail in it, the nose and cheeks and the neck.
We're very much designing three-dimensionally how it's going to move, where the edges should go, thinking very much about how it's going to function in the film. Colin has this major neck piece that goes under his chin, it wraps around the back. He's also wearing a nose that's connected to his upper lip,
Damn.
a chin, a brow.
I had actually added a shape I found on a real penguin of a brow. So I said, I want it to be black and
No
white.
way.
So I created the shape of his eyebrow like a penguin. And if you look on the side of his profile, I threw in a little subliminal bird beak, the way his nose is shaped, because it looks like a chipped up scar. So it looks like a penguin beak from the side. And then it's just developed into this
Look at the
strange...
bro, look at the details they put in this movie. Sorry for pausing, but it's just crazy. They had like 5 years to do this movie too, so I mean, they better go crazy. And they did go crazy, but still, like, that's why I wouldn't be mad if Batman 2 takes a while to come out. If they can spend that much time on it again,
mob
over.
kind of character. scarred
might
up,
be the best
grizzled,
Batman
kinda heavy
series.
guy
Who
with
knows?
maybe an insecurity. He's got some deep pock marks and this very textured face. So I sculpt the hair and the bow tie and a collar and all that, and I get the feeling of it. And I showed Matt, and he first saw the design and was like, "That's Colin?"
Matt said, "Have you seen it yet? Have you talked to Mike?" Mike just sent it to you. You want to see? You want to see? Honestly, when I saw Mike Marino's work
Insane.
and what he had created and how the Penguin was going to look facially, what his visage was going to be, I was so blown away, and I was so
Bro,
moved
that's a
and
new
excited and
person.
provoked, and my imagination just kind of kicked up a notch. The first time we did a full application was in Burbank in Warner Brothers Studios. Maybe took 4 hours, maybe 3.5 or 4 hours. But I will say it was one of the most exciting, jubilant, celebratory experiences I've had in making pictures in 20 years.
Pete. Yeah? Young man. This is...
And to see the makeup for the first time with Greg, the cinematographer there, and Greg came up and he had his camera phone with the light on.
The quality of his prosthetics was so good. I was blown away.
And he held it over this side and this side and this side, and he was, the shock on his face, he literally could, he said, I can't see any place where it doesn't, wow.
You take a character or an actor that we all know. You know, we know the shape of Colin Farrell's face. We know how his performances are in other films that he's
He
done.
had to cut his
But
hair?
his eyes are so piercing and so clear that he's got this kind of paradox that goes on where he's got the face of somebody that feels like somebody who's been through a lot, but his eyes are sharp.
Oz is aware of what he looks like and certain physical attributes or certain potentially physical handicaps he may have, including a fairly noticeable jerk in his gait as a result of something going on with his right leg, shall we say. He wears the hardship of the life that he's lived up until this point.
Colin is just about as great as an actor could possibly be. He really understands how to use the makeup. Colin just became the character. It almost
awesome.
overcame him.
I'm Oz.
And it wasn't until that transformation happened that we saw Colin really inhabit the character that Matt wrote. And I remember that Colin surprised us with an iPhone video footage of when it was the first showing of that.
Where are you from?
Anywhere I'm from. What the you care where I'm from? Some of your business. Want to know things about me? Why don't you send me a little email? I'll write you back real quick. Where do you live?
Yeah, why don't you come
Where do you
down
live,
to
actually? I
Bruce?
can hand deliver a letter to you.
Bro.
Hand deliver a letter to you.
The more
W
pieces go on,
acting.
the more his voice subtly starts to change, and he starts to.
Oh my god, bruh. That wasn't even rehearsals or nothing. He just straight up just pulled that out of his ass. That is crazy good
become aware
acting.
of his features and using them in the mirror. It just started pouring out. He was having so much fun in it.
Good. Good. Good.
It was the first time I've ever did a full face makeup and had the opportunity to inhabit that, and I'm utterly grateful to Mike and his team and to Matt for having the moxie to push this as far as I feel we've pushed it, you know?
You know my reputation.
I do. Do you?
It's always nice to be in a scene with someone you can see they're really enjoying it.
Young
as well,
Robert.
just really feeling the look of the character.
Colin was able to really bring that character to life with his movements, the way he walked, the way he spoke.
And I was taking care of giving it, I suppose, animating it, giving it motion and giving
It just
it
like
voice.
it gave him powers,
And it's
bro.
definitely, I mean, there's not, like no penguin has been like that before.
And that was the great gift that Mike Marino's talent has given me on this film. It's nothing short of creative genius.
When we finished shooting, I had this a very emotional thing because I was like, I kind of got to know Oz, and I was very close to Oz because Colin as Oz is this character, and I thought, I'm not going to see you the same way anymore. He really did become somebody else entirely.
You want to say something to the camera? You want me to say to the camera?
I don't know. What do you want to say? You want to
Show?
want to confess?
Come see your tickets. You pay for this performance. Careful.
I give so much praise to those folks for creating what they've created.
It's crazy. And they're making a whole TV show for him. That's gonna come out within like probably the next year. Oh shoot! Ooh, the Batmobile. Should we
As
just
I'm in
check
the
out?
midst of applying for residency right now,
Hold up.
wish me luck. Grammarly has again been a lifesaver with my application.
Should we watch the Batmobile featurette? Fuck it, we're here. Why not? Well, I'm watching all these. I don't give a shit. I don't know what I gotta do today. Hopefully nothing, cause that's what I'm doing.
When we first spoke about the Batmobile, it was quite apparent that this wanted to be completely different.
I couldn't wait to see it when I showed up on set.
James Gordon.
Batmobile.
The basic talking points were relentless force, raw power.
Oh my god, why is this movie so good? Just out of nowhere.
I like that you can see the construction. It's not like it's alien technology or like repurposed super high-tech military technology. Like he's built it himself in his basement.
We really believed that Bruce Wayne / Batman alone, developing and building that car from scratch, and we thought that as an idea was a cool idea.
The look of the Batmobile hopefully reflects that he couldn't care less about his wealth and the Wayne Industries at this point, and that he's doing it all himself.
We brought in this car designer named Ash Thorpe, and he apparently also had always dreamed of being involved in the creation of a Batmobile.
Crazy.
And then we had all of these other designers come in. We started sculpting.
We used a UK company called Curvature Group to fabricate the body. They specialize in prototyping.
Everything that you see on here has been made, been 3D printed, been cast in aluminium, or it's been cast for real.
And you got all of these elements that were real, and we were looking at real cars. I wanted them to have like the kind of nitrous sort of turbocharge that you would get from drag racers. I wanted it to feel like a real car.
We knew that within our car chase that we were going to be crashing into other vehicles. So it was important to us that we made the front of the car as strong as possible.
The idea that its purpose was to perform, but also to be almost like a battering ram, and so the front of the vehicle had to be very powerful.
This lovely witness line here, but literally an inch or so in, it bolts up.
We used a big block LS3 engine that had to fit under the hood. You have effects on top of that.
How did they make the Batmobile from the Dark Knight series? Because that shit looks not even like a real car at all. Like, this is a dead ass car that they've made. But that Batmobile though, I don't know. Maybe it is a real car. Maybe they just went crazy on it.
Louvers
but this is sick.
On the hood that were used as intakes that open and close. Inside that, there was a volume of design that included lighting effects. There were additional flame effects that came out of the top of the hood.
And there's this massive jet engine sort of intake. And so as the car is sort of waking up and starting to move, we love the idea that these louvers...
If you like Batman, leave a like, man.
That these sort of
by the way,
the
if you fuck with Batman, I shouldn't swear, but whatever, who cares?
Breathe, basically.
Subscribe and like, man.
Originally, the louvers were moving, but we decided that we didn't want to embrace in that, so we discarded that, and that's where we put our water tanks for the travelling rain that we did.
The rear of the car, for me, is...
Wait, water tank?
We discarded that, and that's where we put our water tanks for the travelling rain that we did.
The rear of the car, for me, is sort of
I remember that.
genesis of the idea.
It's uniquely open. You can look at the car and you will notice that you can see everything except what's under the hood. The rear of the car is exposed, the engine is exposed.
Many people ask what engine that's from. This engine is bespoke to
Holy.
the Batmobile. It's fictional.
Over 2,000 individual parts you're seeing here that were all individually designed by Joe Hira and his team, and then flawlessly executed
So that's a
by
fake
Dom
engine?
and his team in terms of the builds. A gobsmacking amount of man-hours and work that came through here.
These are aluminium. This is stainless steel. This is printed metal, which is where our flame came out. Which I think is quite beautiful, the way that we've embraced all of this kind of smaller tube work that fits around this engine.
Ash started doing these iterations that got us very excited. You got the sense of those wings that were almost like the Futura in the back, and then you got this Challenger sense.
Finding a way of letting Bruce reveal his character and sort of the intimidation factor of sort of recognizing, like, oh my God, that's Batman.
As you can see, this car at the moment has been painted for the film. We wanted to always have the car to have this kind of grungy look about it. This used, we didn't want a perfectly polished black car. We wanted it to look like it'd been used. So the construction department, the paint department put a very nice finish on there that we've had to embrace.
W's in the chat.
There was a day when they drove the car and put it on the back lot, which was under the L, which is outside the Iceberg Lounge. And it was the first time I saw it, and I got to sit in it. And sitting inside that Batmobile was a dream.
All-wheel drive, shift, and shifter. And then this is the thruster that controls the jet. And then, obviously, his control panel up here. You know,
I want to know if Robert
aesthetic
Pattinson actually filmed his scenes
leather
in this
wrap,
car.
leather dash, and then traditional sort of muscle car gauges.
Because if I was an actor doing whatever scene in one of these cars, bro, I'd want to do my own stunts. Because shit, just being in that shit, you gotta feel like an absolute race car driver in that, bro.
So right here, you're seeing this is all control for the jet components, big fuel tanks and cylinders for the various gases and things required to drive the jet engine.
You're not using a donor car to make the Batmobile. You are building a unique one-off. And in our case, we built 4 vehicles.
We had a ram car that we could use just to ram and destroy stuff. We had a lightweight car that could perform jumps and other difficult tasks. We also had a pod car that a stunt driver could drive from a mounted roll cage from the top of the car's roof. Our hero car was an electric car.
Electric?
It's quiet and it can move around without making noise.
Oh, the
This
car
was
that
like
records.
engineering an entire other car. You had to modify a roll cage, you could accommodate for electric motors.
Wait, what?
You're not just adding an electric motor, you're actually adding an entire electric control system that has to fit under the hood.
We built 1 electric car, then we built 3 petrol cars. The trick is that they all look the same.
Well, I wish everyone could hear the combustion
What?
engine. You know, I mean, there's nothing like hearing that V8 roar.
Oh, that sounded. Oh my god, I'm
The petrol
creaming.
cars got the 700 brake horsepower V8 engines in them.
But they made 3 different cars?
Unbelievable. It sounds like you're driving a plane.
It's also a 4-wheel
What?
drive. We've made our own bespoke transfer box in-house that's based around what they use in a rally car.
It has to be like a monster. I want this thing to feel elemental.
It sounds like a monster. Oh, that swervo was
power to
nice.
either the front wheels or the rear wheels or both wheels, all at the push of a button. And that's something that we've used in the past. And from previous experiences, we know that the stunt drivers love that, because what they can do is they can set the car up and then they've got immediate power where they want it. Anytime
Okay,
you
so
build
there are
something
stunt drivers.
bespoke, you need as much testing as you can. You find all the weaknesses, you find all the strengths. And part of that testing is that we get to a situation where the stunt department can actually find some really cool stuff that they can do. And by testing, we can say, well, can we add that into the sequence?
Starting to push the Batmobile and to its limits so we can see where the limits are.
But this is what we're here testing to do, to iron out all these problems, get the suspension right, get all the mounts right. We've had a few things bend, which is what things are designed to do. But if we can do as much as we can.
Where did they
real,
film this?
That's what we're aiming for.
We always knew the car needed to jump. That was part of our design remit when we designed the rear suspension.
Oh my
of the
goodness.
car, is that we knew that we
Who
needed
did the
a lot
jump,
of
bro? I gotta
suspension
know.
travel. So what we did is we put it in 2 modes. So we had like the general driving mode, and then we had the jump mode.
Ooh.
We designated one vehicle for the jump.
Hey!
That vehicle had longer suspension on it.
Oh my God, that's gonna be so
different
fun.
tyres.
So the one joy of building the Batmobile is you get a chance to drive it away.
Yeah. That sounded like the electric
At the end
one.
of the day, you want to be inside a Batmobile. And I wanted the audience to have that experience. Like the Batsuit, I wanted you to feel it was totally real.
The workmanship that's gone into building this car is one of real high standards.
The intensity of both man and car are just paired together perfectly. They both have this sort of real revved up vengeance vibe.
This is one of the finest builds ever in feature film history. I mean, the car
Damn,
performs
hyping himself up.
beautifully. It's been a huge privilege to be a part of that through line of history.
Is it a manual car? You gotta do like stick shift? Oh, is that it? Okay, that is it. Alright, let's go back to the front page. Behind the characters. Looking for vengeance. We'll do this one first. It's the shortest one.
I don't think Bruce, he just doesn't care about surviving at all.
Yeah, Bruce was a little depressed.
Inflict pain, inflict like his kind of form of justice, which is kind of questionable justice. I always just get the impression that he just wants to keep recreating the night where his parents died.
It's getting serious, Bruce.
If I can't have an effect, I don't care what happens to me.
Whew!
You were only a boy, Bruce. I could see the fear in your eyes, but I didn't know how to help.
Alfred's not really equipped emotionally to deal with suddenly having to raise a child. He tries to teach him how to be a man, and so he's sort of partly responsible for what Bruce Batman has become. And I got this from the comics. Alfred was the one who taught him how to defend himself. Alfred was the one who gave him these tools, and that came from him being able to fight as somebody who was
Alfred.
6.
I could teach you how to fight, but I wasn't equipped to take care of you. You needed a father. And all you had was me.
It didn't make its way into the script because it just didn't fit, but originally, part of their relationship was sparring, so that as they, the idea was after he comes home after a night of being out in the city, he and Alfred were meant to spar, and it didn't end up making its way through the draft. It just didn't work with the scenes that I had. It didn't fit, but it is, in my mind, something that does happen.
He's taught Bruce how to fight, and then Bruce is just kind of...
That is what I love about Matt Reeves. Like, look at when he dropped the Joker deleted scene a month or two after the movie came out, when he talks about it on his interviews and stuff, things that didn't make the movie, but like he just said, it still happened though, because it's his story, it's him and his friends writing, it's his teams directing and all that. It's his story, so these things happen. They just not always make the movie because you gotta have good pacing with the movie, and you can't just put everything into it. You gotta cut stuff out. But it's really cool because that happens. So that's why I love Matt Reeves.
Taken what was the only thing Alfred thought he could teach him. And
he's really trying to build a world, I guess.
Extreme extent where now Alfred thinks he's going to die because of the only thing he thought was a good idea.
I wanted Batman to be a really effective street fighter, and I wanted him to have a version of mixed martial arts where he'd adapted various forms just out of efficiency in order to be able to survive on the streets.
So we just basically overlap this whole motion here? Yeah.
When I was looking for a stunt person, I met with Rob Alonzo, and he and I just really connected, and he was a fighter.
My role in this film is making sure that it's not action for the sake of action, that it always drives the story forward.
Yes, that's it.
Seamless between dramatic dialogue sequences right into blended action. In describing Batman's fighting style in this iteration of Batman, this is a very in-your-face, brutal, realistic approach.
When he does
was he actually getting hit, or is that just crazy coordination?
When we brought in the fight guys, we made sure that they understand that the reactions that they were going to be given were just brutal.
He's punishing them. like he's doing corporal punishment on everyone. He is judge, jury, and executioner.
We've trained Rob in a way that he is always reacting to the performers around him as opposed to anticipating the movement.
And it felt way closer to a real fight. You're really watching the person who you're fighting with, rather than thinking, yeah, memorized it like a dance.
That is sick.
You're like,
damn!
Pattinson doing his own stunt fight there, hitting that guy 2 extra times. That guy is scary. That's Batman. But it's also, Batman's arc is he represents justice for us. He's got to learn that. And beyond justice, as Matt wrote, he's got to become something more. His arc was he had to find what that more was. He has to provide hope to the city.
Gotham is in a world of hopelessness.
Give me the money!
When you're in that world, you're gonna fight as hard as you can.
I gotta do this my way.
I tried to find a way to come up with signature moments for the fights so that they were emblematic of who this iteration of Batman was. He doesn't have a total technical precision. He's fighting like a street fighter, but a street fighter who knows what he's doing. You can see that he's cobbled together a fighting style, and it feels really like this guy who is looking for vengeance.
They think I'm hiding in the shadows. But I am the shadows.
Sheesh. Yeah, this shit is so W. Oh my god. Just an amazing movie. What are we thinking now? There's probably more. Let's see. There's behind the scenes. No, we're not gonna do that. Do we want to do behind the scenes? Nah. I want to do. Let's just go to this dude's channel. He's got a bunch. Oh, ew. The Batman Genesis. Yeah, we'll do that one.
18 apple table.
I was approached while I was in post-production for War for the Planet of the Apes. And when I was first contacted by Warner Brothers, I didn't understand what the meeting was for. So I kept turning it down. And then finally my agent called me one day and he said, listen, that general meeting with Warner Brothers, it's not a general meeting. It's about Batman.
I was just starting Christopher Nolan's movie, Tenet. And then 2 days later, we'd have to come back to do the Batman screen test. Yeah, it was like a super high-pressure scenario.
You know, auditions are always, they're strange and they're scary and you're nervous. They have a proper camera, but it's cool because you kind of get a taste of what it will really be like on set. Yeah, they gave me a motorcycle helmet and I had to take the helmet off, which was my biggest fear, was like, I'm gonna get stuck with the helmet. And I was like, that's how I lose this job.
That would suck.
But Rob was half in a batsuit. It was like this kind of like in-between worlds. Like we were almost there, but not quite.
I mean, the whole thing is terrifying. I mean, I was putting on the suit from Batman Forever, and for one thing, the suit is pretty old. It's been in storage for a while. It's also incredibly precious. If I even slightly exert myself, I'm pouring sweat. And also just to try and figure out how to project a performance through a mask, basically. It's kind of, you realize pretty quickly that this is way harder than a normal part.
One of the things that distinguishes Batman as a comic superhero relative to most of the others is Gotham.
James Gordon.
That's very recognizable, obviously styled off largely New York. And so he's grounded in a way that's kind of uniquely relatable.
I feel like it's more similar to Chicago, low-key.
Matt was very, very clear saying he wanted to make this is a detective story, that right from the beginning. And so you think, okay, so he's the greatest detective in the world. What makes a good detective? Someone who just is exceptionally observant.
I always think of Phil.
That's probably good for Robert Pattinson. He seems like a very observant dude. Like, he's not much of a talker. He's more a listener and an observer. So maybe this was a W pickup for the producers to get Robert as Batman. A lot of people hated it at first.
You're going on a search.
I didn't really care. I
You're
didn't really
searching for
know
the
what to
things
think.
that stick with you. On this movie, what started the process was I just started reading comic books. I went back to 1939 and, I just basically did a deep dive in the comics, and anything connected, I just wrote down. Basically, what the Notebook is for me
Is that his Notebook?
A way to have a dialogue with myself, because otherwise I would just be saying these things and then I wouldn't remember anything. But if I write it down and then I keep revisiting it, I start having a kind of document that shows what I'm interested in and what things sort of struck a chord with me, and eventually a story starts to emerge.
Okay.
I gave Bruce a notebook as well because I felt that he needed to have that kind of dialogue with himself, and I thought, wow, this is so Batman.
Matt gave us a sort of idea that he'd like him to be a bit like Kurt Cobain. So from that, I looked at lots of different images of Kurt Cobain and what the crossover was, who he becomes when he takes his cowl off. And the whole Kurt Cobain black eye makeup sort of really struck me, and I liked the idea that he had the remains of his Batman makeup on, and it looked very rock and roll.
He spends a lot of time in darkness. That long hair really helped with creating that side of his character. At one stage we were talking about shaving all his hair off, and I'm glad we didn't go down that road.
There's a film by Gus Van Sant called Last Days, which is kind of a fictionalized account of the last days of Kurt Cobain, and he's got all his stuff spread all over it. And I thought, well, this is the version of Batman and Bruce Wayne that I understand.
I knew where he was coming from in this kind of slightly nihilistic.
You know who I am? You're Bruce Wayne. I want to see Carmine Falcone.
There's something more emotional, and doesn't necessarily know that he's going to save the day. He doesn't know if being Batman is going to work or do anything. He knows that there is no other option. Basically, the options are kind of death or being Batman.
Damn.
This is the 5th movie that Michael Giacchino and I have done. That to me is a very exciting collaboration. I love working with him. The night before Rob was to screen test, he sent me a secret little MP4. It was both Bruce's theme and Batman's theme in this incredible suite. And I was blown away. It was so emotional. I drove to the set that morning, and Dylan Clark, my producing partner who was in this from the beginning with me, we're like brothers. I said, you have to get in the car. I said, what do you mean? I said, just get in the car.
And we sat in his car. I was in his passenger seat, and I didn't know what I was going to listen to. He goes, listen to this, and he pressed play, and it's Batman's theme.
Sheesh.
I played it as Rob was putting that makeup on his eyes, and I was like, this is in the movie. We're doing this. That's where that scene comes from. It literally came out of Rob's audition.
Wow.
Okay, good, cut. It was one of those things where I just felt like this was a very special, fated day. But there we were listening to the music, knowing that he was going to put on this bat suit that was part of the history of Batman. It was just one of these things where you suddenly felt you were in a long line of history that meant so much.
Man, this stuff is amazing. They really built a whole world from this movie. What do we listen to now? What are we watching now, man? Batsuit becoming Catwoman? Yeah, we'll become Catwoman right quick.
dangerous crowd you're standing.
Talk to Zoe Kravitz a little bit.
Falcone owes me that money, and I'm gonna make him pay. In 2019, I heard whispers of this project and that they were looking for a Catwoman, and thought I would just throw my hat in the ring. I was completely blown away.
She wanted to be Catwoman. She didn't just think to throw my hat in the ring or whatever she said. She was fangirling to her fucking heart's content.
Away by the script, but what got me just really amped was the idea of working with Matt after getting a little bit of a taste of that when I did the chemistry read with Rob. How could they do that to her? I'm gonna find them, and I'm gonna make them pay. You gonna help me? Come on.
Don't make any moves without me. You have to understand this is all far more dangerous.
Oh! Oh! First day? They didn't even get the part yet and they're kissing? Yo! Actors go crazy. That's how she got the part right there.
Take care of myself.
Okay!
I was very excited about the connection that she had with Rob because the two of them knew each other. They were friends, so there was this kind of charge between them.
You really don't care what happens to me in there tonight, do you?
Yo!
Looks good. Here.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit.
I've known her for years, and I was like, so it'd be perfect.
Bruce Wayne don't give a shit.
Yeah, you look like Catwoman.
We actually did screen tests, and we brought in different actors, and Zoe came in and she just stole it. You could feel that drive, the need in her that was Selina Kyle.
We truly did love Frank Miller's Year One and the way he drew Selina Kyle. It looked like Zoe Kravitz to us. We were like, it's right there. It's got to be Zoe Kravitz.
She's got a wonderful fierceness. When she squares up with Batman, she's got this muscularity about her.
Zoe and myself, it was a bit of a reunion for us. I used to actually teach Zoe private lessons in martial arts.
Dang.
When she was 10 years old.
The first couple months of training was, it was intense. I would hobble home. Started training in November 2019, and then we shut down in March for 6 months, and I tried my hardest to just kind of remember everything I've learned.
Given the required social distancing, we've implemented video training so that they can learn technique and stance work.
Just extend and bring it back in. And you see, as I extend, I drop my chest, but I still look up.
Rob Alonzo and his whole team are just incredible people, really dedicated to it feeling real and feeling accurate.
Maybe as you spin, after you do this lunge, it's this way, and then maybe you can hug a little bit more. A lot of her style is more evasive, in tune with using the style of, say, Taekwondo and Capoeira and Hapkido.
She just inhabits that thing, which is she's tough for real. She has a vulnerability where you really care about her. She's just got dimensions.
Well, we're meeting Selina very early on in terms of her journey as Catwoman. She's working at the Iceberg Lounge or the 40 Below.
Wait, what the hell was that?
Well, we're meeting Selina very
Just like
early
transported
on
through a
her
video
journey as
game.
Catwoman.
It's like a glitch or
She's
something.
working at the
What
Iceberg
the hell?
Lounge or the 40 Below, and she's working there because her father owns the club, and he doesn't know that she's his daughter, so she's kind of undercover.
We're just drowning our sorrows. You want to drop?
Oh, no, I'm good, but you enjoy.
I think that my interest in her character, it's like someone that I can confide in and connect with, like kind of a port in a storm, weirdly. She seems like a direct, honest person.
We spent a lot of time in the beginning playing around with wigs, different lengths, shapes, colours, styles.
The wigs went crazy. I was watching
From a
like
hair and makeup perspective in this film.
Had to keep
And I
my
said,
pants
what
on
I'd love
though.
to do if you want to appear in this series of wigs is I'd love to have the first wig look totally real. So that way we think, oh, this is the version of Selina Kyle. And then when Batman Bruce follows her home, that you see her remove the wig and you see her with the year one haircut and you realize, oh, this person is not who I thought. She's constantly putting forth someone who she is not. So who is that character? That all came from conversations with Zoe.
Selina Kyle bootstrapping her way through life in the East End of Gotham, which is a very seedy sort of representation in my mind of sort of 70s Times Square with like burlesque theater. Just a tough part of town.
I'm in awe of what they've been able to do. James is a genius and his team, all of them. When I got to see my apartment for the first time, I lost my mind. It was just, I wanted to live there. It was so incredible, and the detail.
If the Batcave is about survival, what is the key here to Selina and Catwoman? It becomes about who she is at night, which is she's the cat burglar. As she walks through the door of her bedroom, that's the transformation. That's where she becomes Catwoman. So there's a real kick in to the set dressing there.
You can see evidence of her disguises,
shit,
whips, and the development of her motorcycle lock as a whip.
We're not in a Catwoman world yet. We're pre-Catwoman. The most significant comic was year one in knowing what that looked like. The ears was something that Matt was very interested in working out and always trying to work out how incidentally to have them. And so we cut up a lot of beanies and we worked out how the seaming inadvertently make ears.
Jacqueline's amazing. She's just an absolute genius and also so collaborative, which was great because it was just so fun to be a part of the process.
Jacqueline, the costume designer, had an idea of where she wanted the catsuit to go, and I think pay homage to other catsuits, quite feminine, but you need a hardness to it as well because she's on a motorbike and she's a tough character.
There's areas that have been patched up and have different kinds of leather and scratches, and you can just tell she's worn this thing just which I love.
The villains are often, the most exciting part of the movies. I wanted to see a Batman that was not an origin tale, but was sort of in these early days. But that meant that a lot of the characters who are the Rogues Gallery characters are in their origins in a way. You can see all of the pieces and how they're going to become that.
There are criminals and there are victims of criminals. And I think Catwoman is the first person where he really struggles to think, well, you are on the bad side, that I like you.
The birth of Catwoman is on the roof when she pushes Kenzie off the roof. Batman went one way and I went the other way.
Don't throw your life away.
I've got 9 of them.
Dang. Catwoman's a savage.
He's always trying to figure Selina out, and I think the audience will be too. The idea of, you meet her one way, and then she looks another way, and then she looks another way, and it's kind of this, onion that you just keep on peeling the layers off, who is this person?
There was something very special because I could feel that this was a character that she felt a kinship with, a connection to.
Of course, the women, Eartha Kitt and Michelle Pfeiffer and, Halle Berry, everybody. It's an honor to be in that group of people. I really want it to be a story about a woman who survived a hell of a life and she's ready to raise some hell. If we don't stand up, no one will. Come on, Vengeance. Let's get into some trouble.
Absolutely astonishing.
Switch and save $652. It's okay. There's enough for everyone.
That new Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared Season 2's coming out. If anyone cares while this ad's playing. Alright, back into it. What the hell?
Alright, here we go, team.
Looks like a demon.
Alright.
Take one, I can remote. Come on.
You have any idea what kind of trouble you're in?
When he puts on a bat suit, he isn't Bruce, he's Batman.
Right.
It is transformative to Bruce.
This Bruce Wayne seems like like a kid that like just literally is like Bruce Wayne is like when he's recharging his battery. Like he does not give a fuck about anything going on. He can just lay there for fucking like that's his sleep time. He wants to be Batman all the time. The Batman's the only thing that feels like he seems like he's alive when he's Batman. I don't know what I'm saying right now.
Kind of elevates
I think
him
y'all
as
get
a
what I mean,
creature,
though.
like a wraith.
Like he just wants to be Batman. He doesn't give a shit about being a real person.
In some of the
I need to
previous
read some of the comics. I don't think I
you
ever
find
have.
Batman jumping off a building, and miraculously the cape becomes like a hang glider.
Actually, do I have
kind
any?
of thing. You have to suspend your disbelief for a little bit for those moments.
He can step off the edge of a building and he can glide down to safety. That presents a little bit of a problem in a movie like ours where we're trying to be super realistic.
I have
and
a
super
Batman
grounded.
detective
so Matt's
comic.
idea was that rather than it being like a rigid glider, maybe his cape and his suit could become a wingsuit.
I don't think I've ever read
I
it.
wanted to sort of take it and ground it, and so I started looking at wingsuits. And I was
I'll
like,
have to read
it'd
this
be
right
really
after.
cool if we could figure out a way
Any
to
more?
take the wingsuit and make it part of his suit. I wanted the audience to feel like, oh, I could be Batman.
That's it, but
when I first
I don't know.
met
I don't
with
think I ever
the
read that
director
one.
in Los Angeles, he mentions a scene in the movie where Batman escapes from the Gotham police station by jumping off the roof of this very tall building, and his cape and bat cowl turns into a wingsuit. What was important for him is he wanted to really feel that it was Robert Pattinson.
It was kind of a
who
weird
was
scene
running
when
off
they did
and
like
jumping off the building, and we never
the
left
face cam
Robert
type of
until
thing.
we landed on the street.
That was kind of weird.
In our movie, you will believe a man did fly, that this actually happened. Here's just a glimpse of a previs in an early stage, but just to give you the idea of what we're going for. We're going to shoot it in a visual style
That was cool.
people accept as what is real based on YouTube videos.
Damn, that looks a
The
lot
idea
like the
is to
movie.
get the kind
Holy
of angles
shit.
that you could get from GoPros. Even the idea
Yeah, it
of
was the
hitting
GoPro
ground,
that was
we're gonna
kinda weird.
soften the ground and pull him on a line, and then when he stands up, it's going to be Rob Pattinson, and you're going to like, he just did that.
We had a custom wingsuit built based on a Batman design, but that was actually like a proper wingsuit that could be flown.
It has to have specific air channels running in certain places.
That's gotta be so scary.
In the middle of the body, down the sides of the arms. One of the longest processes was trying to work out how the wingsuit was going to deploy from the costume.
I figured that Batman thought, okay, well, maybe in the right circumstance, I might be able to use this thing, but it wasn't really fully thought out.
We did it very real at first, and as much as you would have to zip it up, Matt was then worried about the transition and it being quick enough. So then we had to think of another way of how we could do it quicker and maybe in a more gadget kind of way.
We assumed that the wingsuit would just be one of those Batman moments where it just turns into the wingsuit and off you go.
It was kind of deployed a bit like an airbag or a life jacket so that it comes around quite quickly.
Originally, we wanted to actually hang a professional wingsuiter from a helicopter on a long line.
We talked to a wingsuit specialist and stunt guy, and we wanted to do a real jump.
But then we had the pandemic, we had other logistical challenges that made it so that that was no longer a viable plan.
It was quite
Probably
a
a good thing,
It
honestly.
seemed like a really bright idea
I'm not gonna
early
lie.
on, then turned into a massive headache about how to film it in a cinematic way. We couldn't change the style of our movie to suit that wingsuit. It had to flow through and it had to feel like it was all integrated.
So we've ended up doing it in several locations, using several different techniques.
Liverpool.
Batman, he's on top of the building.
Was
He's
Batman
run up away from the police,
filmed all in
and
London?
he gets into his wingsuit.
I don't think
He's
it. I
just
think it
about
was
to
filmed
do
in
the
New York,
jump. So we
or
have
Chicago. I
a
don't
stunt
know.
Batman at the top there, on a wingsuit, on a wire, on the
I think it was filmed in New York.
Eventually, we switched to a set on one of the sound stages, and we pushed a ton of air at it.
And then we cut to a drone plane in Chicago.
We flew a drone down LaSalle Street.
So they were just
and
all
we had
over.
it shoot kind of forward, and we had it shoot backward.
These have been stitched together in a 360-degree cyclorama, which we're projecting through 8mm panels.
The stuntman and Rob were able to pilot what was a wingsuit wind tunnel. And then eventually we switched over to a backlot set. We had a stunt performer do a fairly big stunt where they rolled and tumbled.
With a wingsuit, your rate of descent is extremely fast. So in that case, we can't muck around. He's got to come down pretty quickly, and it's brutal. So again, back to this grounded reality. He's not going to land there in a superhero pose. He lands there and he hurts himself.
By the time that you get to the end of the scene, that you would say, like, oh my God, everything had to be sort of rough and visceral and hard, but also completely believable.
We were trying to take all these visual cues from real events, which were these.
Damn, this looks like it took a lot of time.
The audience in this journey with Batman, so that you could feel like, oh my God, I took that flight with him.
See, I don't know. I feel like I would have been alright with seeing it from the outside, low-key. I feel like it would have been cool as fuck. Oh my God, that's gotta hurt. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Are there any more? Oh yeah, wait. Yeah, right here. Unpacking the icons. This is about Paul Dano. We haven't seen anything about Paul Dano yet. That's Penguin, I think. So this is about everyone. Oh man.
The thing that was interesting about this world and this movie for me was Matt Reeves' vision for it. He really wanted to take this world and ground it in reality.
You have any idea the kind of trouble you're in?
He wanted to reference iconic ideas about gangsters and Gotham and America. It was about finding a balance between film noir ideas and how to make that contemporary.
Bruce Wayne in this story was like a recluse who's in this decaying Wayne Manor. So he's down below and he's making this suit.
It's his willingness to endure anything in order to do what he thinks needs to be done. And so this suit is very tactical. Even his belt is like a tactical police belt.
Everything from zip tie handcuffs to UV light. This would be his flare. And then we have sticky bombs, so they can either be placed and set by hand, or they can be fired from this cartridge here.
I like that we take stuff from real life and introduce it into the costume. The boots, they're not like fancy superhero boots, they're like Austrian army boots. He's made a top to them to protect his shin. The whole idea that it should feel very real and grounded in reality.
But when it came to the flip side of it, which is Batman can't go looking out for crime in the night dressed as Batman. So what does he do? He goes out as the Drifter.
Rob was involved in the evolution of this costume. He really wanted to push the workwear and the idea that that's what makes you most invisible in a modern crowd. He specifically spoke about the dock workers in Manhattan. We actually went to New York to workwear shops and we bought these trousers, lots of different jackets. We tried on a lot of different versions. It was just to find the kind of most invisible costume that we could.
The Riddler! I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Paul Dano is making or co-creating a Riddler comic right now about this Riddler. It's like they're really going all in on this world, and I freaking love it.
Paul Dano and Matt were both adamant that they wanted to research what the Riddler could have found in a surplus store near his house, and that would have been the kind of parameters of the options available to him.
This is exciting. The way it looks, the glasses. Finding that pair of glasses was really important. We went through a lot of different pairs of glasses.
I don't know, maybe we tried on 200 pairs of glasses.
I love those clear
Lots of
frame
glasses.
There's just something about them over the mask. There's something scientific, doctor-y, like, I don't know, there's just some vibe there that I think is really fun.
This is a very important prop. This is all of his confessions and tormented mind.
Jesus.
Floor to ceiling.
I gotta know who did that book.
We
That had
had
to have
some
been
makers
just hell
for
doing
many
that.
weeks to
It's basically
manufacture all of those
scribbling.
by hand. Yeah, it is handwritten. So the handwriting
Scribbling with
was developed
purpose.
by one of our artists, and then she had to sit and write the entire ledger or a good part of it. It's sort of pressed into the paper.
Jeez.
We looked at Charles Crumb, whose journals, again, he had a disturbance of the mind, and his
Who?
journals are very much like what you see here. This is the level of detail we're trying to achieve.
Selena has her backpack, she has her phone, her whip. This was one of the first props that I worked out with Matt. Contemporary bike block, and it's got the movement.
What type of phone
because
case is that, man?
segmented parts. You've got this natural movement, so the lock moves just like a whip should.
Selena isn't Catwoman yet. That's one of the things to be clear about.
It feels very feminine and very sexy, but still at the same time practical.
We're gonna get
And
into
then the idea
the
was, how can we
long
take those things
featurette
and
after
tweak
this,
them
by the way.
just a bit, so you can see, oh, it's kind of ripping at the seams. It could become the catsuit.
Get that Uzi.
You think you can come after my money, huh?
This is the Penguin. We ended up with a kind of amalgamation with a 40s influenced 80s suit and a very 80s looking leather coat.
The color palette of the costumes are extraordinary. The suit that was made, it just does something to you. There's something kind of esoteric to it that when you put the whole thing on, it's not you anymore. There doesn't feel to be any space between you and what you're wearing. It's all one and the same.
The first prop that Colin asked me about is a very gangster type gold ring. Saw what it was and I kind of understand the language of where Colin might want his character to go. This is just a soft rubber version of his micro Uzi, which is iconic.
Everything is about character, emotion, and theme. Everything is built out from there.
It really is about, you know,
So much detail in all this.
Being a kind of joint piece of work.
I wish the Disney series did this much detail and work into their stuff. Oh man.
Always make the world feel as complete as possible.
All right. I think we watched all the mini ones. Now it is time. What a big dogga. 53 minutes, we got this.
All right, here we go, Steve. Clear back, please. Thank you, everyone. My line's clear. Thank you.
10 on the top light.
40.
40.
Okay, put on the front, the Hudson, please.
Greg Fraser is a legend. Oh, voice crack, but whatever.
Examine the scrapes in the different light and all of the wear and tear. It's really good.
Let's go to step 2, please.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if literally we consider, I mean, I think that having the space around the pads is great. Let's eliminate things.
Okay, team, so fall back
To the
behind
degree that we
camera,
can. I'm not
please.
saying
Thanks,
like
everyone.
necessarily here. I'm sure that's what. Look at you guys. We're really doing this.
Thank you.
Ridiculous.
Let's roll camera, please.
Oh my god, that is cool.
I'd be a nervous wreck if I was an actor.
This was when we were first starting to see what Batman would look like on film. You know, Rob just being able to stand there and figure out how it would feel to be Batman, and you could watch him transform. And we did the same thing to see Zoe in her suit. And so she came out, and then we had to see the two of them together.
It was like this kind of like in-between worlds. Like we were almost there, but not quite. But it's cool because you kind of get a taste of what it will really be like on set.
For the first time, you were really seeing what this version of these characters would look like, and you were seeing it being born right there in front of you.
I find that really fun to try and find just a new way of doing something when, you know, a lot of your heroes have played it before. Yeah, and then the terror kicks in. The beginning of the terror.
Rolling
I think that the Batman, it's one of those rare places where culture, popular culture, and art meets at its fullest.
And it's almost like the more
I feel like Paul Dano is a
reinterpret it,
weird
the
guy.
space to reinvent it gets smaller, but I think it actually just gets more specific. The first conversation I had with Matt about it, I just knew there was something radically different from anything we'd seen in Batman movies before.
Ready, and 3, 2, 1, action!
From the beginning, I didn't want to do an origin tale. I didn't feel that I had some new way of doing that story. I wanted to do an imperfect Batman, really rock him to his core.
I don't care what happens to me.
That is what I'm afraid about.
To not be in total control, who was being challenged by the...
I will say, the Alfred from the Christopher Nolan movies is undefeated. There will never be a better Alfred than that. This Alfred was great, but that Alfred... unbeatable.
these crimes and who didn't know how to do all of these things yet. So you were seeing a Batman who was still becoming.
Renewal is about growth now.
Matt just had an angle on something. I mean, it's definitely made some bold stylistic choices, but also story choices as well. Even some of the major plot points, or even in the comics, they're just wholly original.
Nolan did an incredible job with Batman. Zack Snyder did an incredible job. Schumacher, Burton. When you take this on, it's significant. You're terrified, and then you get over your terror and your fear, and you go, what are we trying to do? You better swing for the fences.
There have been great Batman movies. You kind of have to feel like, okay, so can I come into this and do something definitive, distinctive, and different? That, to me, was the most important thing.
Let's go. Like it out. Like it out. Oh, that's crazy. It's not even a real house or a real apartment.
As soon as that body's back in, we're ready. Speed.
17, okay, take 5.
This was... I needed to just go watch this movie. I'm about to buy HBO Max.
Police action. He's with me, officer.
The first days of shooting, we started in the mayor's mansion. And it was one of these things that was really exciting, but it was also very scary because how does a masked man with a cape walk into a crime scene, and how do you make that feel real? And so these first days, they were really about figuring out how Batman sounded, how he moved, how he looked, how the other characters related to him.
Thumb was severed. Killer may have taken it as a trophy.
He was alive when it was cut off. Ecchymosis.
Matt was very, very clear saying he wanted to make this a detective story, that right from the beginning. You know, so you think, okay, so he's the greatest detective in the world. What makes a good detective? You're basically someone who just is exceptionally observant. There's an element of being sort of like a savant or a witch doctor or something. You just have heightened senses.
We actually went over in these first few days because we were just trying to figure out what does this Batman movie feel like, and shooting this scene was really, really challenging and ultimately set the tone of the whole movie.
What's great about the series is that it's very much in the eye of the beholder. The storytelling has evolved, you know, since 1939 to today. In what Matt's done and what the Batman series has evolved into is not so much kind of a black and white good versus evil idea, but something a little bit more nuanced.
Let's play a game, just me and you.
That's why it's awesome.
Any of this mean anything to you?
And in this case, allowing us to go back to the origins of the Batman, which is DC, is Detective Comics.
Whoa, hold on. Is that the comic I had earlier?
It's Detective Comics.
I don't think it is. Oh no, it's not. Is it the same issues though? No, fuck. I was tweaking. My bad, y'all. I'm off. All right. Anyways, that was close enough.
I wanted to lean hard into the noir side of the Batman and make him the world's greatest detective, because that's what he started as, right? And, you know, the Bob Kane, Bill Finger stories, they were really noir stories, and he was a detective, and he was solving crimes.
There was something about doing it as a noir. I mean, even though Batman is always kind of a noir, but, like, it's never just fully committing to that world.
I came up with the idea of having the character that he was interacting with, the case that he was involved with, being a new iteration of the Riddler.
It definitely was a different Riddler than what you've seen
Character
before.
who was killing pillars of the society, but in the wake of these murders, he's revealing at the crime scenes through ciphers and puzzles the history of corruption in Gotham. And for me, what was important was that that case eventually starts to lead into Bruce Wayne, and the story would become very personal. And really, through the course of this story, he'd be challenged to become a better Batman.
Greg, you all set, mate?
Yes, mate.
Good. Roll camera, please.
Okay, so staring at us. Okay, then he goes off to your right.
Matt wrote a really good script, and I remember reading it the first time, and, you know, page 10, 20, going, gosh, this is good. Like, it's tight, it's solid, it's really well conceived, it's unexpected. This person, this writer, this director is driving at something.
I was riveted by it. It's dark, it's weighty. There's an incredible depth to it, an incredible sense of loneliness and isolation. I thought Matt did an amazing, amazing job on creating the script and on creating the world and the sense of danger.
This has kind of a youthful film noir element to it, which I don't think you've seen in the other ones. You know, between Zoe and the Riddler and Robert, everybody's got their dirty laundry. It just depends what you do with it.
You owe it to the fans to go ambitiously as deep as possible. Matt is a very specific, thorough filmmaker. He's an incredible writer. Everything is about character, emotion, and theme, and everything is built out from there.
What's so wonderful about this world is the exploration of the gray area. And I really think that's why this film is different than any other Batman we've seen before.
It's about sleuthing. It's about thinking through the clues. And again, just takes us back to the core of what Batman is and what Gordon is. They're detectives.
I mean, I think there could be maybe some comment.
Yeah, what would...
Comment here, maybe slightly.
Yeah, I think that's better. You know what I mean? As opposed to where do you start? For some reason, that's feeling a little phony to me as an idea.
Right.
Whereas it goes, damn, I guess it's good to be the mayor. Something like that?
Yeah.
So did the actor just give the writer an idea? Changing some lines? Okay. That's what I like. If I was a director and the actors have ideas, bro, I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to them. Or if I'm an actor and I'm like, yo, this is a little cheesy. Let me put a spin on it. Like, that's W. That's good stuff.
Guess it's good to be the mayor. You sure this isn't a leap? You don't trust me? You mean like you trust me? It's been 2 years now, and I don't even know who you are, man.
The directors that have come before have interpreted these characters, you know, in their own images. And so my Gordon is very much reflective of the vision that Matt had for Gotham, but also it's reflective of the work that Robert does as Batman. And they're very much, of course, a team.
Thumb drive. Oh, this guy's hilarious.
It's difficult for Gordon because, like, you know, Batman he's pretty set in stone. Like, I do not trust anyone in the entire police department, but I trust you, like, probably about 60%.
This was, again, very much inspired from the partnership that they had in Frank Miller's Year One. Gordon in that story was a very human character. He was imperfect. I really wanted a character who had an innate goodness, but was swimming against a tide of corruption.
Gordon, as this kind of overwhelmed everyman, reaches out to Batman out of the sense that he's a capable figure. And he's also, I think, what I've discovered in playing this, he is one of his biggest fans.
You know, Jeffrey is very funny, and he's got great charisma as well. He's an amazing actor. He was not at all afraid, and we talked about this a lot, to have egg on his face.
In the face.
They had a very unique kind of rapport, and it was in that sense like a buddy comedy.
There's a confidence Jeffrey has. There's like a humor in what he's doing that I think is slightly different.
He's just trying to do his best, aspiring towards some type of justice, but he's not nearly there. And, you know, whether he has the capacity to be there is another thing, but he's at least, you know, trying.
Man's gonna pull up to the next movie wearing a scuffed Batman suit. Detective Gordon, the new Batman.
I just want to make sure that it's not spreading out in a mechanical way. I want to make sure so he's just kicked the out of this guy, and he looks up, and then it's like, I'm just trying to figure out how to read that moment. So take the last hit and look up at them, okay? Action. Okay, so what it feels like you're doing is checking with each other who really wants to face him, but it's like, okay, so we're doing this, except who the to do it? With that in mind, can we try that once more with that idea?
Right, guys. All right.
You don't have to go any further than the first
So,
one.
keyframe splits. Camera record these, please. All right, so real life, grounded.
You know, in the Burton movie, I remember it was such an exciting moment when that guy says, you know, who are you? And he says, I'm Batman. That was such a definitive moment. Somewhere early in the writing, I came up with this idea of him not saying, I'm Batman. He's actually, at this stage in his career, kind of a frightening figure. And I wanted him to use that phrase that is in so many of the comics, which is for him to say, I'm vengeance, because this is a personal mission.
He's had this concept of Batman, which he's been building for a year, and he doesn't know if being Batman is going to work or do anything. He's just compelled to do it. That's a kind of important differentiation of this Batman. Basically, the options are kind of death or being Batman.
This whole thing starts really because of what happened to him as a child, and what he's doing is he's taking out his vengeance for what happened to him.
I always just get the impression that he just wants to keep recreating the night where his parents died. All the fights seem very personal. He's fighting a stranger.
Sorry if I'm not talking to y'all. This has got me hooked right now.
Every single time.
They think I'm hiding in the shadows. But I am the shadows.
I wanted a shocking moment where these guys would be terrorizing this commuter, and out of the shadows would come Batman, and they'd think, well, who is this goof in this costume?
Now knock his ass out.
And then he would reveal himself with such ferocity that you'd be shocked, and you'd know right then, oh, it's this version of Batman.
Yeah. The one that beats the fuck out of people.
Just disarming people, it's punishing them.
The hell are you supposed to be?
Bro, how is he alive? Oh shit! Well, I gotta replay that.
I'm vengeance.
Ready? Rolling! And 3, 2, 1, action!
At the end of the day, he doesn't even really have that much in the way of technology to give him an advantage against the people he's fighting against. I mean, he has a few layers of bulletproof armor and a few gadgets, but it's pretty rudimentary. I mean, he's very, very, very fallible.
Batman doesn't have powers, he just has a drive, and he has the resources. I thought, well, okay, so then he's gonna create this bat suit. The purpose of the bat suit is twofold. One, it's to intimidate and scare the hell out of the criminal element. Two, it has to be very protective. It has to be very tactical. It has to be like riot gear.
My ambition is to try and make everything feel very real. I want to be so into the film that I should almost not notice the costume, because it should just feel in place as much as the buildings behind them feel in place, and everything should just feel right.
Well, it's quite daunting because you're trying to think, what else can you bring to something like this? When I was younger, that's when they first made the kind of Michael Keaton suits. That was the kind of high technological costume making at that time. Matt's inspirations are very dark detective films. Gotham's this kind of rotten sort of New York of the 70s. And then there's Batman, and he looks like he's part of that.
The bat suit is an evolution. This is the year 2 version, and I wanted you to get the feeling that Bruce had put that together in the Batcave.
We'll have an initial conversation about the direction of
He's
what
like-
kind of feel it should be, the tone of the
Drawings
suit.
are sick.
So then Glyn will go away and kind of do some kind of exploratory drawings. Then we'll come back, then we'll discuss.
One of the first things that I did was scribble out some bat logos, because that's got to be one of the most iconic symbols, not only in comics history, but film history, and it's all over the world. Most of them are taken from real bats in flight. Me and Dave, we both liked 22. And luckily, when Matt came back to us, that was his favourite as well.
That looks like the one.
I wanted to see the seams. I wanted to see his suit had been scarred, and military gear was an inspiration for the crafting of it.
One of the main concerns
Imagine if our
always with
military
all
had suits
Batman
like
suits
this.
is movement and what the actor can actually do.
Like
So
everybody
we're kind
had
of
it.
determined to make Robert as agile
Or that
as
one just
possible.
Juggernaut
it's all
has it.
divided into
It's
panels
crazy.
and elements, so it allows for full exploration of whatever he needs to do.
Get out of here, freak.
Boing, boing, boing.
Matt had talked about he liked the idea that he's like an MMA
That fight
fighter,
scene in the club was
rougher,
sick.
You know, I mean, he wanted it to be scary. So I thought maybe the cowl could be more skull-like. Some of this around here, it's kind of sculpted in like you would around a skull. And this nose piece, which is from the front, it's got that opening in the face. And obviously it's also inspired a little bit by that Adam West.
The body of the suit, it's very much based in US military or sort of late Vietnam to contemporary kind of military techniques in sort of ballistic protection.
Everything has a function. So it came to, what are we going to do about this? Can it be something that's practical? So then we came up with the idea that, well, yeah, maybe it's something some blades that he can use.
We were all talking about it, and then as we were talking about the logo, it just kind of came to the top that this could be the knife. Because of the nature of the actual bat symbol was very utilitarian, could we just take it out of the chest?
A lot of the talk online was that it was Joe Chill's gun, but I'm sorry, that's not where we came from on this. But I like the gun idea, but it's not what we were thinking.
The gloves. Now, the gloves have a mini taser. And we've got his van braces, which contain his grapple gun.
Matt liked the idea of Taxi Driver, you know, when he kind of flicks out the secret little gun.
That's old school engineering, so he's able to fire his hooks. So that's eventually what gets deployed out. So this opens
Yo,
up.
I'm getting ideas for
and allows
stories
them to
right now.
Up building in the classic way.
I'm about to put the pen to the pad after
It was
this.
fun to make, you know, the guys in the workshop do a great job.
The first time I put it on, I mean, I'd been in the Batman Forever batsuit and realized you are basically a statue in there. And so the first time I put on this batsuit, there's so much more maneuverability of it. I was like, oh, wow. It's like wearing normal clothes of any kind. It's definitely not like wearing normal clothes at all.
He looks great in the suit. It's crazy though, when his jawline and everything, when you see him in the bat suit silhouetted, he looks like the comic.
It just creates a magic and a masking of the Bruce Wayne identity in a way that's really powerful. I think it's a function of the design, but also a function of him as an actor.
When I was saying to Dylan and Matt, I was like, wow, it is very transformative. It's just incredibly surreal sometimes, and you're like, wait, I'm actually doing this.
Sick.
The costume team is incredible on this film. I take quite a huge responsibility in effectively putting all those people's craft on screen. Trying to see into a character through a dark costume, through dark eyes, is very hard. To see emotion, but not give away the mood.
Light is super important to me. It's one of the reasons why I love working with Greg. It's funny because we would look at different things and we'd look at the cowl, he'd turn a light on, and we'd both look at it, and when a certain light would come on, we'd go, oh, sad, no good. When we got really excited, we knew something was really exciting.
We wanted to remind viewers about first Batmans, you know, the early comic books. the character that lurks in the shadows. From every single angle, we wanted to be able to take light away from his foreground, but to be able to recognize his silhouette. But within those silhouettes, you needed to see deep into Batman's character. So it became quite clear that we really needed to sort of skirt the line of fill light in the eyes, or no fill light in the eyes, because not seeing into the soul of a character sometimes is more telling than seeing into the soul of a character. Finding that balance between seeing detail and not seeing detail, that was one of the big things that we explored very early on.
So we are at Leavesden Studios, where we started filming this amazing production. Everyone's up against it.
Is that Alfred?
Time's tight, and there's so much to do. There's a remarkably good energy and really exciting sort of feel behind the project.
He looks like a gangster.
I mean, Matt took years to write this project, and he talks about it all the time. And so to come into another iconic story and to face all those challenges together, it's fantastic to see it finally.
Bro, he is a gangster in real life.
Shall I take this as a good sign?
What?
Your attire. Is Bruce Wayne making an actual appearance?
I was trying to think about what's the way into Bruce Wayne we haven't seen but still makes complete sense as to who this guy is. And I started thinking about the notion of the Waynes themselves and the idea of him being the child of Gotham royalty and basically a lost prince. I often listen to music when I'm writing, and I just one day put on Something in the Way by Nirvana. And there was something in the tone
classic.
of that. I said, this connects to the movie. I don't know why, but this has to do with Bruce Wayne. I like the idea of a guy who's become like a rock star, and he's like a recluse who's in this decaying Wayne Manor.
Welcome to Wayne Tower, to Wayne's World. Alfred is a bit of a stickler for order and precision, but Bruce isn't. This has become almost like a museum to Thomas and Martha, and Alfred has become the caretaker not only of this place, but of course the most precious cargo, which was Bruce himself.
Alfred was the one who taught him how to defend himself as somebody who was former MI6. He tries to teach him how to be a man, and so he's partly responsible for what Bruce has become.
He's a surrogate father who never chose to be a surrogate father. Bruce has taken the only thing Alfred thought he could teach him and just taken it to this extreme extent where now Alfred thinks he's going to die.
He does carry with him this sense of survivor guilt, having been the bodyguard that actually let down Thomas Wayne and Martha, his mother. He feels deeply, deeply responsible.
It's getting serious, Bruce. If this continues, it won't be long before you have nothing left.
This is not a scene from the movie, but it's just behind the scenes stuff. So they filmed this March 11th. Isn't that like right before like everything got shut down? Damn.
We're shooting
so they were
in
like
Gotham City Hall today. This is the funeral of Don Mitchell. We got to design this centerpiece of the city. It's a hybrid set. We're establishing the exterior up in Liverpool, and then obviously this interior is our creation.
Coming to that set that day, like I'm looking around and this is like crazy. Like, this set is insane. Bruce Wayne.
That's just a straight up set.
I'm Bella Real. During all of that,
Bella
this is where
Real.
we get a real sense of who Bella
It's a cool
is,
name.
what she cares about and who she cares about.
Your family has a history of philanthropy, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
Excuse me, Chief. Can I talk to you? Gil Coulson is missing.
What?
Hasn't been heard from since last night.
Edward Ashton and the Riddler, once he sees behind the curtain.
I gotta take
how
this
Gotham
brace
City
off,
has
my
been working,
leg is throbbing.
It's a deep betrayal. Unfortunately, it feels like he has to go to some pretty extreme lengths to be heard.
Because he's a mentally ill man.
Sets the stage for the big scene.
Was a big scene.
Hands up for safety is the policy that we're running in the film. You want to be cut, everybody will stay in your end positions.
You will now actually see a vehicle come through, so please, everyone react on when that car comes through.
Big scenes like that take a very long time. I remember we were filming in these hangars where they made Zeppelins. Just like a huge number of extras and spectacle.
There's a major action component to the scene. We're actually driving a car through the space. Good old-fashioned practical effects.
Okay, team, stand by me, please. And let's be again. Let's be ready. There we go. We're rolling. Everyone set?
And action. Sound. Sound. Marching around. Boom. Boom. Ah! Here comes the car!
Action call!
Oh, they had one take.
Get out of the car! Show your hands!
There's a bomb around his neck!
Let's get this place cleared. Clear out! Clear out!
For the Riddler to get what he wants, he needs a partner.
You came.
Puzzles, numbers, riddles, games.
Riddle number one.
That's one of the only ways that he could escape.
It can be cruel, poetic, or blind, but when it's denied, it's violence you may find.
He needs the Batman to do some dirty work for him.
Justice.
Huh?
The answer's justice.
Yes! Justice!
There's an incredible image at the end of Hush of the Riddler at this sort of chess match. And he's got this great smile, and he's kind of the puppet master.
20 seconds.
Okay, guys, stand by, please.
I feel like it's a little bit like that, maybe.
How he could survive something like that is crazy. Ah, yes.
You know, when we had to shut down because of the pandemic, I reviewed the footage, but a lot of that mental planning was also done in uncertainty because you just didn't know, when it was going to end or when it was going to be safe to start shooting again. And honestly, it was a very scary time. One of our crew members ended up dying. Andrew Jack,
Wow.
who was our one of our dialect coaches, a wonderful man. In the 2 weeks after we shut down, he was gone. We dedicated the film to him. It's a terrible loss. It's heartbreaking that he's gone. And I know so many people during the pandemic lost people close to them, and we were no different. And so we knew that in our shooting, we had to take this business deadly seriously, and we did.
Dang.
So if we were,
This is why it was delayed so much.
Superstitious, which we're not, but if we were, we would say this is a good time to start back up.
Yeah, and let's just say Sarah, so, do you mind giving me on the map, please?
We're back shooting, but I'm also really proud of our crew and our people and Matt and our team.
I wonder how much they
that
shot
we are
before
putting our
they
heads down and
ended.
safely and smartly continuing to make this movie.
Making a movie of this scale in a normal world is a huge deal. But making it in the middle of a pandemic is, I don't know how. To get the wheels turning again of something of this scale is just huge.
We're small right now. We started with scenes with 2 people and we shot some really interesting things, but pretty soon we start cutting outside, more people, extras, but again, we got a lot of people checking in place to just you make sure we do it correctly.
Yo, I wonder if they're gonna show Barry Keoghan, I think his name is, who's supposed to be the Joker. I wonder if they're gonna show anything about him, like his deleted scene or just him on set or something. That'd be crazy.
Hello, mate. How are you? Good. Why do you look so fresh?
I have no idea.
Good.
So maybe it's your eyes are blurry because I don't feel it.
Ready for Liverpool? Are you ready for Liverpool? I'm kind of looking forward to Liverpool.
This is when people didn't even know to talk at this time. This was September 2020, bro. People fucking hadn't been outside their houses in like 5 months. Jeez, this is like a weird time. It's not even. It's crazy. It's not even that long ago, but it's not like this at all anymore. Which I'm glad it's not. This shit was ass.
We are in Liverpool. I'll trust you that it's day 55. It's really hard to keep track of these days now. This is the arrival to the mayor's funeral. And so Bruce is coming here really as a detective. And so he's coming here just looking for suspects.
Ready and backhand action! Ready and action! Bruce Wayne?
Hey, some space here, will you, Slick? Go around.
Brought out the one guy in the city more reclusive than me. Oz, you know Bruce Wayne?
Wow, is that right?
Carmine Falcone is one of the big reasons why this city is the way it is. I was really excited about that character, and one of our casting people, Cindy Tolan, said to me, well, who do you think's the type? And I said, well, to me, like, the fantasy type would be like John Turturro. And she said, well, why don't we go to John Turturro?
Look who it is, huh?
I've stayed away from playing bad guys unless it's really complex.
What are you looking for?
I talked to Matt. I said, well, if there's something I could do that would be interesting. We talked about some real life figures that probably inspired it in reality. People aren't absolutely pure.
Let's keep things festive down here, all right?
I came to Penguin and the idea of Batman when Burgess Meredith played Penguin and Adam West played Batman.
I got you, you friggin' psycho!
That's when I heard the opportunity to play Penguin. I was thoroughly intrigued.
To me, his character is kind of like Scarface. He's totally underestimated, and he knows he can be more. I just feel like it's a version of Colin you've never seen, and it's a version of the character you've never seen, so it's very special.
I started looking at images online, like the Arkham series, and there was a couple of images of a guy who was kind of looked like he was a bare-knuckle fighter almost, scarred up and bald. I was incredibly excited.
You know, we fall in love with these great people, these skilled professionals, and Matt's process is he really brings his actors in, you know, to collaborate.
Hey, Vincent!
You know, so much of what you do when you're talking to actors is you're connecting with them personally. But the truth is, I saw their faces, but they didn't see my face for the rest of the movie. I looked like this for the rest of the film, and it was quite a strange experience.
The hell? He's like Batman, basically. He's more obscure than Batman. He's got goggles on, a hat, and a mask. But it's a little bit of an adjustment doing this.
Why did he have to do that?
We wanted to shoot.
He wants to be Batman so bad.
Gothic architecture that we then built upon, create our own Gotham, so you felt you were seeing a place that looked like a big city, but a city at the same time that you'd never seen before, a city that was ours.
Reset the traffic. Reset, guys, reset.
There's no other way we would.
I should have told y'all to get your popcorn. This is long as hell.
Of this place without going to
This is
Liverpool.
fun though.
Get ready, get ready, get ready.
And they welcomed us there in this very special way.
He looks like a Star Wars bounty hunter. That's what he looks like. It's like Cad Bane in this book.
Go, 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 go.
I don't even think that scene made it in the. I don't think anything from outside made it in the movie. Did it? I don't think it did. What? Maybe that did.
I mean, the great thing about being on location here is this scale. When I was a child and I was reading the comic books, that building there, that's exactly how I saw Gotham. And it's so funny to be standing here making the Batman, and that's my childhood right in front of me. My own kind of image of what Gotham actually
That's
looked
awesome.
like. We've come to do the opening shot, which is we're establishing Halloween. We've created these hot dog stands and these little
So a lot of
Japanese
this
kind
was
of
shot
yatai
in
tents where you
Liverpool.
can just go and you grab some hot food.
That's
and
interesting.
Everything which is represented here is like there's a huge team actually behind me that helps gather all this stuff up.
For this particular setup, it's taken about 3 or 4 days to do. So this is Tent City. The idea is just to make it look like a homeless city. The idea behind this stall is a donut sweet treat stall. So this is made by Jamie Wilkinson, who's a prop master. And so he, his perfect place is between the hot dog stalls. Yeah, it's good. Bob.
Bob.
This was the first set that Matt and I started talking about as we tried to develop the look of Gotham. So it was a global search. It just is like a perfect fit. And it really is just sort of an establishing moment. We see him moving through the city as the Drifter, and it's a real opening into the scale of Gotham. It's Halloween night, so we're feeling all that
I want to live in
energy.
Liverpool now, just so I can be in Gotham.
All right, team, welcome to Gotham Square. It's a fantastic set. It's a wonderful spectacle. Our plan of attack is we have a crane down the road there. That's our first setup. We have a lot of moving traffic, about 50 cars here that will be travelling. So we end with a crane shot of our drifter riding down this street, as well as a drifter rigged shot as well, which will be rigged before we get there this evening. All right. Good. Let's get Liverpool done. Well done, everybody. Thank you.
Tonight, there's some
I'm surprised this
extreme
scene
Halloween
is
makeups. There's some very glamorous Halloween
It's from
makeups.
Liverpool.
There's
I thought
some really
this
bad
had to have been
iconic
like
ones.
a big city. I guess Liverpool
We've got
probably
witches,
is a big city,
we've
but
got dolls.
I thought it was
we've
like
got
New York.
Sexy club goers. It's a mixture, but at the end of the day, they're going to be soaked. That in itself is quite a great look. We've got a lot going on here tonight.
Ready? All right, fine. Here we go. Stand by.
You can't walk through Gotham Square in your bat suit, or people will look at you and go like, well, there's that weird guy. When I was looking at the comics, I came across that sequence in Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli's Year One, where Bruce, before he's Batman, creates this other alter ego, which is not Batman yet. It's the Drifter.
The Drifter.
And it's funny because I looked at it and I thought, gosh, that reminds me of Taxi Driver. And I got the commemorative edition, and in it, I saw that in his notes to Mazzucchelli, Frank Miller said that Bruce Wayne in this scene when he's walking in the East End looks like he's just won the Travis Bickle lookalike contest. He looks like a vet. He looks like a Marine.
I mean, I always like the idea that this version of Batman is going into like a kind of public restroom to change into Batman. I mean, there's something so grimy and kind of rough about it.
2 years of nights have turned me into a nocturnal animal.
Dang.
It's another element of showing how handmade his version of Batman is. I mean, he's literally got the Batsuit in a bag when he's going around trying to be as nondescript as possible.
Camera speeding, 48 forward.
Ready and action. Yeah, but what I'm saying is let it drip over. Let's have it drip down past the cheekbones.
We're going to spray a lot of water.
on a lot.
Oh yeah, here we go. This is kind of crazy. Look at that. That's great. That's lovely. That is so cool. When I was working on the script, toward the end, I just needed to do another pass to finish the third act and really land that, and I worked with another writer. And he said to me, he goes, look, one thing that we've never seen, because when that cowl comes off, he's sweating under there. We've never seen the eye makeup. And he goes, if you did that, like, you'd be my hero. And I was like, all right, we're doing that. And so we put that dripping cowl makeup in there because that's one of the realities of Batman.
Rob, he really wanted to push the workwear, the idea that that's what makes you most invisible in a modern crowd. He spoke about the dock workers in Manhattan and the kind of workwear they wear and how you just pass in the crowd.
Allowing that kind of grit felt like one more detail that felt fresh that you hadn't seen in the movies yet that we could do.
I like it. I like it. Now, where are they at now?
The parallax changes so it looks, when you see what this looks like through the camera, wow, it's ridiculous.
Good job, guys.
Why is he wearing goggles? Hey, more artwork.
I wanted to do
this should have been the end
where you
credits,
see
just a
Batman
bunch of like
and Selina
artwork,
looking
like how
out over
Marvel
the
does
city.
it.
Greg Fraser mentioned to me he had started using this technology, the volume.
We created a volume of light that was Gotham in a number of different locations. The idea is that the city streets below interacts into the faces of the characters. You may not see directly a car headlight sweeping across Batman's face or across Gordon's face, but you feel what is the conglomeration of all of those buildings together and the atmosphere illuminating the actors, and it just feels right.
Greg could actually move the sun itself. This was one of those things that had not been done in a DC movie, had not been done in a Batman movie.
He has the power to control the sun?
It's one more thing that creates not only a photographic reality, but it creates a kind of creative reality for the actors as well.
The content here you see is a very deep environment. There's many, many moving pieces, and we're pushing it as much as we can. We started out working on the Falcone's loft environment, a loft over a bridge with moving traffic and a huge digital city. And then here we're doing the Searchlight building. After this, we've also got the cemetery. Other environments we've done are sort of a little bit more contained, slightly simpler open deserts. Here, it's a sea of detail.
When we first sat down with the ILM guys, we said, look, we want moving clouds, we want animated traffic. And it was a thing that was a little bit bleeding edge for them.
James and ILM and myself basically all had an opportunity to design this city. For me, it was very simple. I needed something that would do what I needed to do for light. From James's perspective, he needed something that would fulfill his vision of this incredible city that we're filming in. Then ILM then needed to help marry those two ideas together.
Once we knew we were going to be shooting on screens, I think we quickly realized it was going to be really beneficial to us to have a location in the world that we could shoot plates on. So we found a location in Lower Manhattan that was the position of the skyscraper, and then sort of rebuilt the world around it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful technology. We wouldn't have been able to shoot that scene in any other way. It looked 100% like we were on the roof of this place.
Maybe we're not so different after all.
I thought you guys were actually out on a roof.
Wow. Me and Rob had this emotional and romantic scene on a roof, and to really have the cityscape, it was a game changer. It was incredible what they were able to do.
Just don't make any moves without me.
I told you, baby. I can take care of myself.
Sheesh. And the Oscar goes to this was kind of a crazy scene.
Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were. And now it is time for retribution.
Oh my god.
So let's be ready to go, guys.
What'd that say? 10 days left of production. Oh!
One of the things that was important to the story was that I knew that Batman needed to go through a kind of baptismal transformation. The city itself needed to go through that as well. When I was talking to James Chinlin, we started talking about New Orleans and the flooding that happened after Katrina and the kind of how harrowing it was. In my mind, I saw Gotham at the end and its buildings coming up out of the water. It's a potential new beginning, but that the city has had to go through something quite traumatic.
Oh my God.
The scale of this sequence is so big. You know, Matt's vision of the end of the movie, this massive wall of water coming through the city. Breaking that down into pieces that we can actually shoot was really, really tricky. This is an incredible special effects piece that was built by Dom Tui and his team.
We've got a lot of water pumps that are in here creating this kind of waterfall. We built a tank that's got 500,000 litres of water.
It's an amazing combination of 3 locations: Chicago, the Thompson Center for the exterior, London interior, and then these pieces here on stage.
Every shot we'll
so they were in
here, apart
New York,
from when Batman starts to walk away,
England,
will be in camera. So
and
what
Chicago
you see is what you get.
To me, our third act it's a giant spectacle. And we're trying to do something emotionally surprising that was achieved with Matt and Rob working that moment where he realizes that he's culpable. I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't have all the information. I have to become more.
I believe in God. I believe in its promise. But too many have been left behind for too long.
Sins of the Father.
It all started here. The idea of renewal. This was the path that described the history of the city and the history of corruption and how something that started off as a truly meant to help the city program from his father had been completely perverted.
I think a lot of Batman stories ends with Batman believing that he's given hope to the city. That the symbol of Batman will create a brighter future. In this, I always kind of imagined it that he's so committed to darkness and nihilism that he doesn't think that the city is capable of healing itself.
Maybe this is all coming to an end.
What is?
The Batman.
It's just on a downward spiral, and he's just fighting a hopeless battle which will end in defeat.
I wanted to get to a place where that message that he was projecting out would be reflected back to him, and that when it was, it rocks him to his core.
Who the hell are you?
I'm vengeance.
There is a dark side to this idea of vengeance.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, action!
And so it is now his responsibility to somehow make this right and to even sacrifice himself if that's what it takes.
Okay, so I'm going to start the water. Here we go.
There's a particular piece of music that Michael wrote for that scene that whenever I hear it really breaks my heart. I'd say that was one of the most important moments that I'd been after from the very beginning of trying to tell this Batman story. So that was a pretty special day.
I just always like the idea that at the end, it's actually the city which kind of opens up himself for a bit of hope.
Oh.
Him allowing himself to hope a little bit actually is the most painful thing that he has to do. If he allows himself to think that, then there is a possibility of positive change.
Together, we will learn to believe in Gotham again. There are elements to these Batman stories that create a modern mythology that just plucks all the strings. And I think it's not so much that, you know, he's one thing or another, but that he's aspiring to be greater, aspiring to be better.
You know this place is never gonna change.
I have to try.
I think all of the characters are so multidimensional. It's not black and white, and the humanity is what people really respond to.
There is a very rich, adored, very protected and revered history to this character of Batman and to this world of Gotham and these criminals.
There's a reason why things have lasted. And maybe everyone fantasizes about having a black cape, doing the right thing, and being courageous if you could.
I think Matt has put all of himself into the script in this film. I think he's got a lot of him in there. I've got a lot of me in there, yet it's the Batman, it's the Riddler. I just think it's truly exciting that we're getting to work with this material that means so much to people.
Final day. Dang, a whole year later.
This was a hard movie to make. By far the hardest thing I've ever been a part of. Never worked on anything so long where we're in production because of what we went through. I thank you from the bottom of my heart because I care so much about what we do. This movie means so much to me, but you guys showed me that you care just as much. Thank you so much.
But yeah, from my end, thanks for putting
Call it. They want to hear it's a wrap. Call it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just giving another 15 minutes of overtime. Anyway, we don't need that. That's good. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. That is a wrap.
We were supposed to be doing this for about 5-6 months. We were there for a year and a half. We all had experienced something that none of us in our lifetimes had ever been through and that the whole world had never been through. And we made a movie during it. Not only that, but we made this movie during it, a movie that we loved and a movie about a character that we love so much.
A great movie.
It's one of the major characters of the 20th century. So many people connect to it on such a deep level and for so many different reasons. You have some level of responsibility to the people who've invested so much in the character. And you can feel it. It's fun though.
Yo! Well, that's it. This was fun, yo. I'm glad I watched this on stream and with y'all, whether you're here in the live stream or you're coming in VOD form, whatever you're doing. Thank you for coming and watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm glad I watched this because I just saw this long 53-minute one. I didn't even know about all the other mini ones, so it's definitely an honor to be a part of this with y'all. This is a W. This came out a long time ago. It came out like 3 months ago, but you know, we're a little late on things. I didn't even know about this till recently. This is W. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna go. I don't even know what I'm gonna go do, but I'm tired.